You wake up on the cold tile floor of a hotel bathroom. You're in a foreign country, and your body is shaking. This isn't just a flu. It feels like an internal break, a sudden physical collapse of the world you thought you understood. Outside the window, a nation is convulsing. A brutal political struggle is playing out in the streets, with revolutionary banners and armed teenagers marking the front lines of a conflict happening right at your doorstep. This is the premise of The Fever, a 1990 monologue by Wallace Shawn. After traveling through war zones in Central America, Shawn wrote this piece as a clinical examination of his own class, the people who watch these revolutions from the safety of their hotel rooms. The narrator values kindness, appreciates fine art, and considers himself good. But that self-perception is exactly what The Fever attacks. It forces him to confront a question we avoid. How can we live like this while others die to make it possible? This worldview began in the safety of New York City. The narrator was raised in the heart of the cultural elite, a world of long sofas and morning newspapers, where wealth was a natural, unquestioned backdrop to a life of refined sentiment. He remembers how carefully his childhood presents were wrapped. The layers of tissue paper and boxes within boxes were designed to protect small, valuable things, creating a physical and psychological bubble that shielded him from any hint of global cruelty. In this bubble, the working class appeared as kind background characters. The delivery man, the mailman, and the woman at the bakery giving out sugar-covered buns all seemed like proof that the world was a gentle, fair place where everyone was taken care of. This manufactured innocence acts as a sophisticated defense mechanism. It allows the elite to maintain a sense of personal decency while remaining blind to the systemic forces required to keep their safe neighborhood safe. On the bathroom floor, that shield of innocence shatters. The narrator begins to look at the objects in his life and sees the hidden history he was trained to ignore. Consider the act of buying a beautiful winter coat. We admire the cut, we feel the velvet lapels, and decide it's a good purchase because the price is not expensive. We treat the cost as a fact about the coat itself. We pretend commodities fall from heaven with price tags attached. But every coat is the final chapter of a story about the people who harvested the fibers and stitched the seams, a relationship we hide from our awareness. This realization turns a simple aesthetic pleasure into a psychological crisis. Every object in a comfortable home becomes a direct link to a human life of toil and exploitation. As the fever peaks, the narrator reaches his most difficult realization. The divide between rich and poor is not an accident of fate. He realizes his life and the hotel chambermaid's are tethered together. Born with a better chance, he maintains that advantage by defending his possession of money. His wealth and her poverty are two parts of a single machine. It's a structural necessity. If the poor were paid like the narrator, he couldn't afford his lifestyle. There would be no cheap shirts, no cheap fruit, and no affordable weekend trips. While we grapple with the guilt of this connection, the system is enforced with violence. Outside, soldiers ensure the disparity remains intact, protecting the flow of goods that keep one half of the world comfortable. Good intentions are irrelevant when your entire standard of living is built on keeping an underclass exactly where they are. We need the poor to do the awful work so we don't have to. Shawn's play offers no easy exit. There is no donation to a charity or call to action that can wash away the realization of how the system functions. To make this point, Shawn originally performed the piece in private apartments and luxury hotel suites for small groups of wealthy people. He brought the critique into the very safe spaces that the narrator's privilege had built. By speaking in these sanctuaries, he turned them into traps. He forced his audience to look at their own furniture and their own clothes while hearing the story of the suffering required to produce them. In the end, the narrator recovers and goes home. He returns to his paintings, his wine, and his beautiful apartment. But the moral innocence he once had is permanently stripped away. The fever teaches us that awareness is not a cure, it's a permanent condition. Once you see the blood woven into the fabric of your daily life, you can never look at a cup of coffee or a winter coat the same way again.